Trial Tuesday, once again, school is out for the moment of the holidays, but this may be something to think about before you go back. Today, we're talking about random searches in schools conducted by law enforcement personnel. Attorney David Aylor, a man who will fight for your right to party, joins us right now to discuss. Counselor, this seems to be an issue. It happened at one low-country school recently. They brought dogs in and searched the hallways, searched the lockers, and some people were really upset about this.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, obviously, school searches have been around really since schools began as far as public schools. And I think what's important to point out is the fact that we are talking about public schools, not private schools, because when you go to a public school and attend a public school, that is a right that you actually give up. It's a little bit different than, per se, if you were walking down the street. They have the right to search your car. There needs to be no warrants and things like that. And that's just part of the way the system works. And, you know, in protection of the school, obviously, there has been a lot of violence at schools and issues over the last several years. However, this isn't really related to violence per se. It's more of a situation, as you pointed out, with dogs looking for drugs and things like that. And I think an argument that a lot of people have is not so much what they're doing, but maybe how they're doing it.
There's a legal issue there, of course, that we're going to get into, but right now I want to discuss how do police get, I mean, I'm sure they get a tip that there is some kind of substance or some kind of wrongdoing going on in the schools, but what finally gives them I guess, the right or the wherewithal to enter into that school? Is there kind of a statute of limitations? Is there some kind of
No, there's not. When you know, it's understood basically, again, when you're at the school and you're attending the school, they have the right to search your vehicle. They have the right to search your person, your locker, whatever it may be. So sometimes it is a tip. Maybe it'd be a tip from a teacher or a counselor that there's some drug activity or sometimes a suspicion, but they also just do it at random. And then what they do is they come in and there's a certain, you know, basically system that the students have to go through, where they are, what happens, and then when the dogs are brought in, they find something in people's cars, they'll call you out to your car, search your car right then, and then the difference now than maybe back when you or I were in school is that they're going to arrest those people. They're not just going to, you know, suspend them or put them in detention.
The argument here is that a lot of parents, administrators, and education pundits say that, you know, school is supposed to be a safe place. And it's not a place for police with guns and dogs to be running through the hawkers. That's going to, you know, disrupt the learning environment.
And that's what happened at Goose Creek a few years ago, as far as most people are probably familiar with. It was the way that they went about it. They went in there like a raid, a drug bust, and, you know, it ended up being a pretty expensive situation for the school and the police department to have to settle there because of the way they treated the kids. You know, it's a good idea in regards to trying to, of course, keep the drugs out of the school, but I think there could be some procedures and processes about it that could go a little bit smoother so to make the parents feel more comfortable. But one issue that I see dealing with a lot of students, both in high school and college, is it sometimes pushes them away from police, makes them have a little bit of an angst or dislike, and that's unfortunate. And I think it goes back to, again, the way that it happens, because there's a lot of great police officers out of there, and maybe they get rubbed the wrong way with this type of search, or, and then from there, you know, it just kind of turns in that direction.
Do you think, as someone who works in the law, that there is ever going to be a perfect way to do this? It seems like you can't do the raid thing, but people are still very upset about walking through calmly with dogs. So do you ever find a good way to do this and a fine balance between keeping your school safe and living in a police state?
Well, I know that some schools are a little bit more quiet about it, I guess is a way to put it. Instead of the students being aware of it and that sort of thing when it's going on in the school, unless they have an issue with a certain person or a certain car, it's not really something that's out publicly, where other schools, of course, make it more of a public because they want to use it as a deterrent. So I think meeting somewhere in the middle then, and then also maybe some of these officers that are the same ones doing the searches coming into the schools at different times in the communities, explaining their career, explaining that they like sports and have families, and, you know, a little bit of the outside life as opposed to just that person's out to get me sort of scenario.
Absolutely. How about the issue, let's say that something is found in a car, and then, you know, there's the excuse that we've probably all heard before, maybe used in a former life, that it's not mine, it's a friend's.
Right, and unfortunately that doesn't work because, and that you're right, that excuse, even if it may be valid, is often heard. You know, that shotgun is my father's. Well, you're bringing a firearm onto school campus, even though it's your dad's car. Those are his cigarettes. You can't have cigarettes at school, or your mom's, or brother, or sister, whatever it may be. And, you know, they try to put those policies out there so you know ahead of time. But if they stop you and pull you out of your class and then search your car, and there's any type of contraband, it is coming directly back to you, and only you. It doesn't matter if it's your brother's car, your neighbor's car, your dad's car. So you have to be very careful when you go to school, what you have in your car, and also who you're taking to school with you.
Indeed. So if you're a student out there watching, or a parent of a student in school, make sure that you know the rules and you follow them to the best of your ability.
Absolutely.
Attorney David Aylor, thank you for your time, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Merry Christmas to you, and much more after the break. Make sure you stay with us.